Section 3, we're looking at the coordinate plane, or graphing on a graph that looks like one of these babies here. And I want to point out a couple things about it, and I'm sure these are things you've seen before. If not, get them down now, so it's going to keep coming back. This line there, the horizontal one, we call that the x-axis. And often you'll see like a little x kind of written in there. And this vertical one here, we call that the y-axis. And often you'll see a little y written up there. Those two babies are going to cross right here at a point in the middle, and we call that the origin. And I referenced that briefly in the notes yesterday. And just get used to those terms, knowing those terms. But they're going to take this and break it up into 4 quadrants. We have this section over here, and this one over here, and down there, and down there. They number those quadrants 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll always write it in Roman numerals. And it's going to be something that comes back over and over. When I did Algebra 2, it came up, and people still got it wrong there. So I try to find a way to drill it into your head now. But quadrant 1 is going to start in the upper right. And it'll actually make sense when you get to Algebra 2 and start doing the unit circle. Kind of like, oh, I see why they put them in that order. If you survive Algebra 2 and don't understand it, give me a call. I'll hook you up. All right, so then if you got that there, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they do kind of like a backwards C. As far as a way to remember it, you can maybe think of when you do like a Q, it's something like that most people start here and work their way around when they do the Q. So maybe that would help you think 1, 2, 3, 4. You could give that a try if you want. Figure out some way to remember it. All right, so points. We're going to have points that show up like down here and up there and over there and so on. All those points, their locations are given by an ordered pair, is the fancy math term for it. And it's going to be something like ordered pair. Ordered pair. And when we do that, we have an x-coordinate, the first number. Well, what do I mean by an ordered pair? It's going to be something like 3, -2 would be an example of an ordered pair. And that first number, the 3 in that example, is going to be my x value, or they'll refer to that as the x-coordinate. And the y, the second number, the number after the comma, would be the -2 in that example I did. That's the y-coordinate. And the most common way I've seen people mess this up is they kind of do them in the wrong order. They forget which one does what. So the x, when you're looking at the x, that's always the side to side. So the first number tells us how much do I go left or right. So my 3 tells me I need to go 3. And because it's positive, that means we go 3 to the right. Positive is always to the right. If that had been negative, we'd go to the left. The -2, which was the y value, that's going to be the up and down. And if it were a positive 2, I'd have to go up 2, but it's a -2, which means negatives are going to be down, kind of like on the number lines from the last couple sections. So if we go through and do those, in other words, it's saying this point here, I don't know if I'd mess up my notes with this, but that point there, 3, -2, I start on the graph here at the origin, and I'd go 3 to the right, because it's a positive 3, then I go down 2. So that dot right there with my red thing on it is going to be a 3, -2. One way that works for some people in remembering that the x, the first number, is the left and right, is you could remember that babies always crawl before they climb. So after you're born, you first do the side to side across the floor, and then you start going up and down. Found that with my kids. I was working in the front room, and I was watching my son, supposedly while I was sanding walls, working in the front room, and I realized my 1.5-year-old maybe was quiet for an extended amount of time, and I turned around and quick looked to see what was going on, and he was at the top of a 7-foot ladder smiling his head off. He'd never really climbed things before that, and I'm glad his mom did not catch me. I would have been in trouble. Okay, anywho, so always side to side first, and then the up and down. So ordered pairs for these points here. Let's look at A. So A is going to be that point right there, and we're going to start at the origin here. And we want to say, well, first I do my side to side. I need to go 2, but it's 2 to the left. So my x value, because it's 2 to the left, will be a -2. And when I do that, that gets me over to this spot right there. So 2 left gets me right there. Next, to get to it, I need to go up. And if I count how much up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So because it's upward 5, it'll be a positive 5. So then negative 2, 5 tells me that I go 2 to the left and then up 5. B, my second one. B is going to be that point right there. So for that, I'm starting back at my origin again. To get underneath that thing, directly underneath it, I need to go to right there. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. So my x value is a positive 4. 4 because it's 4 jumps, positive because it's to the right. Then I'm right here beneath the thing, and now I need to figure out how much do I go upward to get there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my y value then is a 7. And because it's upward, it's going to be a positive 7. So that's B. B is the point 4, negative 7. All right, C. C is going to be this one down here. And just like every time I start at the origin, so I first figure out, well, how far do I go to the side, to the left there? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my x value is a negative 6. Negative because I'm going left, 6 because it's 6 jumps. And then that gets me right here on the x-axis still. So now I need to go down 1. So down being negative, negative 1. That gets me my y value. And I have the coordinates for point C. All right, last but not least, we'll switch over to red. If I have my red right here, my D, I start at the origin. And now I count to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets me to that dot right there. So a positive 4 for my x value. Now once I'm there, I need to drop down 2. So a negative 2. So 4, negative 2 are the coordinates for D. So that's the ordered pairs. And every time you start the origin, always do left and right first. Right's positive, left is negative. Then do up or down for y, and up is positive, down is negative. Very, very similar stuff now. We're just going the opposite direction. So if I have letter A, so we want to put a point A on here, and it's going to be negative 3, 4. Well, I start at the origin, so I'm going to start right there. And negative 3, well, see x, that's left and right. So negative tells me I have to go to the left. So left 1, 2, 3 gives me that point. Now my y value is a positive 4, so that's up and down. So it'll be up 4, up 2, 3, and 4. So I need to put a dot right there for my a value. Count it out again. And I'll put an A by it. So that there is point A. All right, B, we'll say B then is going to be this one right there. So just like before, I start at my origin. So I have my start here. Positive 4, so x is side to side. You crawl before you climb. So we go 4 to the right, being positive. Now I do my vertical second, and it's negative, so that means down. So down 1, 2, 3. So then that point would be right there. And that is letter B. All right, then I can jump over to C. We'll say C is 2, 0. So 0 is a little bit of a new thing, but hey, do it exactly like we've been doing before. So I start here at the origin. You do the side to side. Positive 2 means I go 2 to the right. And then the y, the up and down, is 0. So you just stay right there. That's the answer. So then C, we'll put a dot right there. And that's letter C. And then last but not least, let's pick D. So I'll switch to this color blue for D. So 0, negative 5. So go back to what we've been doing. And I have a start at the origin. So my side to side is 0. So I'm still right there. Now my y, my vertical, is a negative 5. So that means I go down 5 to right there. So that's going to be my point D. So put a dot there and put a D by it. So that there should polish off the notes. If you have questions on the stuff, let me know. Be glad to explain it more in class.